living is so innately simple. Everything is thirsting to love and be loved. I have a little dog that I have joint custody of. His name is Gus, and he's about 15 pounds. He's a rescue dog. And this dog has come into my life in this hour in time for me to remember all of the pets that I've had and the dogs that I've had and what they brought to me and what they gave me. And it is the purity of love.
Welcome to the New Thought Men's podcast, where we're building healthy masculinity in the world. It's great to have you with us. I'm Eamon, and today's guest is Charles Geddes. And I want to just share just a little bit about Charles before we bring him on here. In his 55 years of ministry, he has served the Centers for Spiritual Living in so many ways. We're so grateful. But especially in Tucson, Arizona, Southern California, and Florida. He received an honorary doctorate for his New Thought contributions and a Doctor of Divinity from the affiliated New Thought Network, ANTN. And his newest, latest, and greatest project is called Deepening Roots. You can find that online at deepeningrootsinc.org. So, Charles, it is great to have you with us here today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here with you. Thank you.
Yeah. I so enjoyed meeting you. We met at the ANTN conference last year.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful because you really have this elder energy, even though you're vibrant and ornery and all those wonderful things too. You have this elder wisdom that I really appreciated, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to really have you on here and to have you share a little bit about your life and a little bit about your talk that you just did for our summit, and what it was called is It's All About Soul. And that couldn't describe our movement any better, really. It is all about soul. It is the complexity of the soul, the complexity of being a physical being, a mental, emotional being, and a spiritual being, paradoxically, all at the same time here on planet Earth. And I just really appreciated some of the things that you were talking about, because our topic is divine masculine. And so bringing in that divine feminine. Let's just start here. Like, I really appreciated you being vulnerable and just saying, like, there were real challenges with you growing up, feeling more feminine, feeling like more of that nurture within you than the masculine. Can you share more about it?
It was an innate feeling within me of being female and wanting to, as early as I can remember, preferring if I could wear dresses instead of boys' clothes. But that was not an option.
No. And I can't imagine in those days it was.
No. And but with that, struggling profoundly in the reality of something's wrong, and feeling something was horribly wrong within me, and the early feeling of a child that you're not normal. And I can share now, thank God I'm not.
Right.
I don't know. You know, I don't know what normal means to begin with,
Right.
but that carrying that in to my teenage years and coming to terms with, oh, I guess I'm gay. And in the meantime, that, in all honesty, never feeling right because it was a sense of, but I'm not. And yet drawn to men, yes. And that was hard. And I can tell you that I had great trauma and turmoil in my sexuality because of that, because it never felt right for me. And in the meantime, the darkness that we create when we have and are in struggle with our sexuality, and that we, as a result, have very little love or regard for ourselves because we feel there's some innately something horribly wrong. And so our decisions and everything we do results in stemming from that feeling, well, how can I make up for what I feel inside that's so wrong with me? How can I make it okay? And so the decisions I made out of that were to be, in all honesty, most definitely the nurturer. I helped raise my 4 nieces in my 20s. My sister divorced, and my mom and my sis and I helping to raise them. That was a profound joy in my life, and I was the great uncle, and of course in a masculine role as great uncle, but wanting everything to nurture them where they would feel the power of my love in a way that would be with them for all their lives. And when I was introduced into science of mind, religious science, it was the first thing that ever made sense to me, because when I went to church before, I would always come out feeling far worse than I went in. You know, like, this is not what's supposed to be. But finding this teaching was a calling, and it enabled me. It changed the trajectory of my life, Ernest Holmes, and the Science of Mind teachings. And even though entering ministry for all the wrong cause, to make up for the insecurity and hatred I felt inside me, maybe if I loved enough, I could maybe love myself a little. I can guarantee you I've overcome that one. But but yeah, it was hugely complex and dark moments. And I don't want to share the stories of dark moments, but I can tell you just to laser that I was beaten and my life threatened, and I know what it feels like to be in those moments, and to realize not that it was my fault. Finally, I've understood that, but that what we create in ourselves when we do not have compassionate love for who we are, just as we are, with nothing to change.
Yeah, that's huge, Charles. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's different for me. For me, I definitely felt more feminine on the internal level, and product of the 80s, and so very, very masculine on the external, buying into the roles. And I was a contractor for 30 years and, had the truck and the tools and, the grunting, all of that stuff. So for me, it was a different understanding of wanting to be more, as you put it in your sharing for the summit, wanting to be more of the nurturer, wanting to. I wasn't an aggressive guy. I'm not an alpha male who needs to be at the top of the heap and prove myself and that kind of stuff. I think that's gone away too, though, to a certain extent. But I think for me, it was more about accepting that I am a sensitive person and that I am an emotional person. So it necessarily wasn't sexual for me, but that has just, a very similar stigma, and not comparing myself to your experience. We all have our own unique experiences, and I want to honor everyone's experience here. But for me, it was, like I said, growing up, I grew up I have 3 sisters, a very present mom. My dad was out doing the, working thing, providing for the family. So it was very much a 50s style role modeling that went on in my household. And so it was just, it was fascinating for me to finally grow into being okay with being an emotional person, being a sensitive person, being a tender person, and not wanting to be the typical dude, guy who is, I don't even know what that looks like. You said, what is normal? I don't even know what that looks like. Guys sitting at a bar drinking or whatever, like that just was not me. That's not who I am. I wanted to be my whole self. And so that's, I think, a big part of our community is the whole self or the whole man experience. Because we have these feelings, we have these thoughts, we have this spiritual being, we have this body, all which is very complex. You bring sexuality into it, you bring roles from society into it, you bring all of these things in and you just overlay all of it into this, these developing psyches of, kids or teens, especially teens. That was pretty hard for me. That was a very hard time for me, being also neurodiverse. So there was a lot of failure in school for me that really my self-esteem took a ding on that one for sure. But realizing that I'm so grateful that now, in finding my path and finding my creativity and finding my emotional expression, finding the authentic self. And not that I'm, not a thinker or a doer. I've been a doer my whole life, building stuff, creating, remodeling homes and stuff like that. So it's been amazing. Like you said, even though you went into ministry for a certain thing to appease that inner voice that was giving you flack. That judge and executioner, I think you mentioned, which is tough. And then ultimately finding, this is my path. So I can relate to that a lot. Like, I want to go in to do my own healing work. I want to know what this new thought stuff is about. Ernest Holmes and the science of mind philosophy. It obviously changed both of I don't know a minister that it didn't profoundly change their life. So, and many others. But I feel so grateful because there were so many people, there are so many tools, there's so much encouragement and love, to just be our authentic selves. And that for me was just this huge blessing that happened, to be able to finally accept myself instead of judge myself because I didn't think the same way other people thought. I didn't feel the same way other people felt in our society. It was such a huge healing for me. And that's what I've done men's work for 30 years. And that's really helped me find who I am as a man and be okay with it. Be okay with my tenderness, my nurturance, feminine side as well as my masculine side, and learning what is healthy masculinity versus unhealthy masculinity that we're all growing into, and speaking of just archetypes and kind of that whole thing, going into Jung and his developmental pyramid models, is we all start out at the base and we grow, we evolve, we work into this peak place of what does a healthy warrior look like.
Correct.
It's when you're first starting out, you're like, I got this sword, I'm just hacking at people, and causing damage, or I don't want to pull it out because I'm afraid, the fear or the shame or any of that kind of stuff of not feeling worthy of it, feeling a victim of. But eventually we grow up, age-wise, and we grow up maturity-wise on this, in this pyramid, to find this mature warrior who's more maybe like a samurai, who doesn't pull his sword out at every moment that he can pull his sword out and swing it around. But he has these conversations. And then when the sword really does need to come out, there's these stories of the Japanese master where he just pulls it out and shows the sword, doesn't take it out of the scabbard, and then puts it back in, and it's done. The conversation is over, or the argument is over. And that's what mature, healthy masculinity, especially in the archetype of the warrior, kind of looks like to me anyhow. I know we've been all over the place, but any thoughts on any of that?
Just a couple of things. When you stand for, and as I shared in the talk that I gave, that being the divine observer as opposed to the judge and executioner, it means that we are willing to come to a place to see things in new awareness. And that, to me, is a very masculine, important thing, because we are charged with encouraging being the captain of our ships, but not authority over another in a sense of taking from them their identity or being. And I love the word authorship, and that I am the captain of this ship called Charles, and that I have come to be the observer and not carrying the intensity of judgment, and at times literally being the executioner of myself in a horrific way that I would never dream of with anyone else, and holding that deep inside me. And I want to share one thing that came in everything you were sharing about healing, and that the ultimate reality of ministry is healing you. And my fourth year ministerial teacher, Dr. Earl Barnum, way back, when I was being called to my first church in Tucson, they waited for me for 6 months to finish my ministry training, because they loved me when I came to share and speak. I was in my late 20s, and they waited for me. And when I finally was going, I was really overwhelmed, because back then ministry was not like it is today in training. It was sink or swim. You'll either prove yourself or you won't. And
good luck to you. Get on out there.
But Dr. Barnum, I shared my fear and my overwhelm of, and he said, Charles, let me tell you something. He said, if in your ministry you ultimately only have a healing where one person's life is changed profoundly and dramatically for the better,
Mm.
That's a great thing. But he said, even greater if that person is you.
Mm. Mm.
Even greater is
Yeah.
if that person is you. So my ministry was never about numbers, but it was about reaching one-on-one for that one, and ultimately realizing I'm the one. I'm the one.
Yeah. 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 I can relate. The healing for us, I think, as ministers and practitioners and just people showing up in this philosophy, I think is that powerful inner reflection of what is really going on in there. What do I believe? What are those deep held beliefs? And we were just talking about this with the inner child and the wounded child.
Right.
And the inner child being that part of us that's almost like the golden child, I think Jung would call it, or the divine child, we might call that in spiritual terms. But then there's the wounded child, the child who took all of that stuff in energetically, who took on the beliefs and the upbringing and, everything your parents said and teachers said and siblings said and friends said and all the interactions, and took that in, at least the critical pieces of that were critical of the self, and took those on as, oh, this is my fault.
Exactly.
I don't want to speak for you, but for me, with my dyslexia, I thought there was something wrong with me. Like I thought, I'm an intelligent person. I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this? And ironically, we didn't find out I was dyslexic until I was 30 years old. Wow. And out of school, so there was this long held belief that I wasn't fulfilling my expectations, that I wasn't living up to, what I could do or who I could be. And it was just devastating to my self-esteem, to my heart, to, those inner places that we don't really share with people, that because there's so much shame or guilt,
shame
is protected. Yeah, absolutely. That wounded child is definitely protected by the defensive structure, because it's taken on so much. It's had so much. But I know you did some healing work with your wounded child. Do you want to share a little bit about that maybe with us, if you're open to it?
Yeah, and I've held to the belief that, there's really those two childs within us, and that the inner child has never been impacted. The inner child has always remained the innocence, the purity, the wholeness, the curiosity, the divinity within us, in the same manner that we teach that there's a divinity within all of us that is whole and perfect and beautiful and magnificent. But that what you referenced so beautifully there, that we take on and we create a wounded child that we carry forward as the predominant belief system within us about ourselves, and that overcoming that, finding our way from that, is to, for me, there's one thing that I love to reference, that unless you enter the kingdom as a child, you will not enter. And that means unless you enter in an openness, in an innocence, in a willingness to be curious and open to new life and new adventure, that you're not going to realize what heaven is. And one of the root words of heaven is expansion, what it is to expand your awareness and the beauty of who you are, what you are. And so I have sought to never let go of that inner child, even though I carried that wounded child, and it led me to some pretty horrific moments and times. But the bottom line, that inner child, I love that you expressed that when you saw me, that I had a vibrance and all of that, but I still had the elder sphere. I still had the elder psyche there. Yeah. But that inner child is what enables me to jump up and down when I get on stage. When I'm excited, I allow myself to feel that. And, there were times I was judged for that, in all honesty. It was like, well, how inappropriate for a man his age to be jumping up and down on stage. Well,
I loved it.
Thank God I can.
Yeah, right? Seriously.
At my age, and God bless, can't jump up and down.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
And so that inner child means that you allow that is inside you to not squelch it, to not kill it. That wounded child can do that. But no, not in truth, because we are here to express fully, authentically who we are and learn from the pain that we go through, learn from the shame we let go of, learn from the guilt, learn from the grief that we release, and we open to see something in a new way.
Yeah. It's profound when you can learn to do that shift and to say, yes, and yes, this was traumatic. It was painful. It shaped who I am, what I believe, my relationships, and it was this thing, it was this catalyst that allowed my life, my soul purpose, if you will, the greater idea for me being here to come to fruition and to show up, like you, becoming a minister. And, some would call that in the native tradition, is the coyote, right? You got tricked by the coyote into being a minister, but the coyote always knows that there is that truth in there too, that there is that profound experience that going into the wound, or the opposite of what we think we're going to be doing, that we find that liberation, that we find that healing, we find that blessing, we find that place of wholeness, and that place of love for first and most importantly, ourselves. Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one, because I could love anybody, like I'm this spiritually oriented guy. I love you, bless you, all of that stuff. But, that inner critic, that could be a tough one. That could be a tough one for me.
Yeah. And finally, authentically loving you unconditionally, but right where you are, as you are, not where you think you should be, but where you are in the moment, and loving that being passionately, so that he or she can be free to do the healing work that brings about new understanding within yourself. And, you're never complete in the healing. Never complete. I shared in my talk the EMDR work that I did recently, and I think you shared you also with me in our talk, sharing privately, but that's an intense therapy that really, and it's not that every session is that intense, and I'm kind of glad it's not, but some of what I brought into it at 82, coming to a place that I realized.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. To connect with our community of like-minded men and access our full library, including summit talks, meditations, podcasts, weekly online men's groups, and so much more. Become a member today at newthoughtmens.community/membership. And now back to the podcast.
That there was some deep-rooted anger and rage inside me that was responding to things in a manner and way that, well, where did that come from? What is that about? And that I've moved through great depressions in my life, and I found my way up and through, but I had suddenly come to a place that, hey, what is this at 82 that I'm feeling this? And a friend recommended EMDR, and I went, and I can tell you, it was a liberation moment that I had not realized how deeply our body still stores the grief, the shame, the guilt that we haven't freed. It's there. It's inside. It's breathing in our body, and we don't realize it. And through that therapy, I was able to come to a place, Eamon, that I realized all those dark moments, they were not my fault. For the first time ever, I could say that. And to all the women and men that I have dealt with in my counsel, and when I would hear their stories of abuse and violence, but it's not your fault.
Mm.
I was never able to say that about me.
Mm.
And finally, just a year and a half ago, I was able, oh my God, that wasn't my fault.
Mm. Mm.
And what happened from that, the liberation, the healing that poured forth, the tears that wouldn't stop. Oh my God. And I prayed for those that did harm to me. And I still do, that they found their way out of that need, out of that drive, out of that darkness in them to do that. But that, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I pass that on. I think it's important to pass that on to anyone that's hearing this.
Yeah.
Just love yourself, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Hurt people.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing, and it's sometimes a hard thing to find compassion for people who hurt people. And what I know, having done men's work for a very long time and heard some stories, it is a place of realization. Once you come to a place of realization or consciousness with the roles that have been labeled upon you, which all of us have, and then you're acting out on that, it's because of your own pain. And so it just shows how much pain
it is.
Other people are in, and they're trying to take it out. They're trying to get it out any which way they can. And it's important to know and to feel that. I'm glad you came to that realization, Charles. And it is not your fault. For those people who are listening and need to hear it, it's not your fault. If you were hurt, if you were abused, if you were so many things that happen to us as human beings, which are very painful, life-threateningly painful to a degree. You're loved. You're okay.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. EMDR, for those of you who don't know, is called, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So they work with different apparatuses, but it's a therapeutic process to help release trauma out of the body, out of the mind, out of the feeling body. So I think for me anyhow, the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body, and probably the energetic body, although we might combine spiritual and energy, those all need to be addressed on those levels, especially with some severe trauma, to be able to release that. Yes. So I think EMDR is a great one. I've done a lot of hypnosis. I've done just about I'm sure like you, Charles, I've done every workshop and, that everybody's put on. I've taken so many classes. This has been my life journey, which has been the joy of my life.
I love it. It's beautiful. It shines through you, Eamon. It shines through you. It's beautiful.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, Charles. Yeah. So I wanted to, I appreciate that. And just to put a close on it, just to bless people, if you have trauma, to seek that support, to seek the people who uplift you and nurture you, allow you to be your authentic self, allow you to process your feelings and experiences so that you can heal them. There's so much great information out there about trauma and healing trauma these days. please get support if you need it. There's help available. So that being said, moving into this more, and I loved what you said, you can't grow or evolve anyone but yourself. And that is the truth. As much as I want to be a support to other men in the world, and that's a lot of 30 years of training, I can only be the best model that I can be, and I'm still human. I mess up all the time. So I have ego. I have my defensive structure just like everybody else. And for me, it's that commitment to transcend that and to want to be better, want to try and uphold the higher ideals as we do in this new thought philosophy. Because it's what our world needs right now. We don't need more negative people. We don't need more naysayers. We don't need more people creating trauma in others. We need people who are healing that. We need these light beings. We need the energy healers. We need the psychologists. We need all of the people who are doing this healing work to help us heal on this planet. And I loved what you said, angels, you said angels are, you really feel and experience angels a lot in your life. Angels are clearing the way. Spirit has my back is what you said. I just love that.
Yeah. And angels seen and unseen. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's that, for me, it's just energy. It comes down to energy. I feel and experience energies of different things, whether you want to call them, some people call them angels or, guardians or guides. Some people call them aliens. I don't know about all that stuff. But what I do know is the feeling experience that I have by having that support and finding that authentic self, as you were kind of kept going back to in your talk, is finding that authentic self, and to take that feminine within all of us and to nurture ourselves and take that masculine and to see and observe and to see that greater picture, to see that greater possibility. I loved what you said. The world is changing and we need to embrace the change. And that's where we're at. Yeah. And to just see where I think a lot of the embracing of ourselves, the embracing of this masculine, but also this feminine, this openness with regard to, is that a masculine trait or a feminine trait? Well, why do we put it in those terms? Be assertive and be, a woman. You can be, emotional and be a man. You could all those stereotypes. Yeah. Breaking down all those stereotypes. I think the younger generations are doing a great job of doing that and finding that whole self. Because that's really what we're seeking, in my opinion, is we're seeking self, or the authentic self. Yeah. Thoughts on that?
It's that pure, it's that simple, and we make it so complex. And again, not denying the complexity of what we've shared here of sexuality and love and how we love and all of that. But the bottom line, the purity of living is so innately simple. Everything is thirsting to love and be loved. I have a little dog that I have joint custody of. His name is Gus, and he's about 15 pounds. He's a rescue dog. And this dog has come into my life in this hour in time for me to remember all of the pets that I've had and the dogs that I've had and what they brought to me and what they gave me. And it is the purity of love. It is that we are just here where you care for us, and in that caring, we can give back to you a love beyond anything you can know. It's just simply because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And Gus brings that to me in my morning walks. I walk with him four times or so a day. I get to have him most of the day. And I cherish when I look in his eyes that he's looking to me to remind me, hey, don't you know I just love you for you who you are right now?
Yeah.
That's all. And then he'll go get a squeaky toy and say, hey, how about a game of squeaky? Yeah.
There you go. So love and fun. I mean, if we all just lived like dogs in a lot of senses, love and playfulness.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah. To learn to love like that, I think is radical. It is unconditional love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And man, our pets just the fuzzy ones just model that for us way better than we as humans with this mental issue called consciousness, called the brain, called awareness that we struggle with. And that is the foundational truth, I think, too, Charles, is like we're here to love. We're here to,
in that vibration, in that energy of offering that to everything and everyone around you unconditionally. Again, being mindful that, at times we do have to draw lines and boundaries, but not out of fear, but out of that cosmic observer and awareness. Oh, okay, you know what? Let me kind of align here, and it's not about dismissing anyone, but it is about valuing what you bring into your life, who you bring into your life to be supporting and loving you.
Yeah. And of course, that the main person is the one that we're stuck with all the time, the one that looks back to us in the mirror. Is to make sure that we're loving ourselves.
That is it.
That's a huge one. It's been a huge lesson for me to just learn to practice that, to just learn to practice.
Yeah.
Eamon, you're okay. Eamon, you're loved. It's all right.
Yeah. Eamon, you're cool. You're really cool. Wow.
Thank you. You too. You too, Charles. So you also mentioned, and I love this, being in Montana, living in Montana, and you have lived in Colorado, it sounds like, for quite a while too. But the trees and the roots and oneness with nature, even when it's like 45 degrees below and you're freezing, and it is, you can feel the cold in your bones. I've been there.
Yeah.
But I love that about nature, and I think for a lot of men's work does have a nature component to it. I think there is something for us. So for New Thought, we believe in science, we believe in evolution, we believe that we came from these single cell organisms to this modern complex being here. And so we're connected to all that is on this planet. And I feel, for me, and I'm lucky enough to live in the mountains in Colorado, but just going out in nature, there is something powerful and profound that says, hey, it's not the screens, it's not the stuff, it's not society, it's not the busyness, it's it's about finding this place of peace. And even just going into your backyard with the grass mowed or whatever, sitting by a tree. For me, I think that those are some of the most profound things that we can do, is to just spend time in nature, to just be, to do a solo fast, to spend 24 hours out, under a tree. It has been some of the most powerful rituals of my life. to be in prayer and love and high consciousness, and to be in nature, resets. I think you spoke about the heart, be in the heart. Instead of in the mind. We can be so easily get up into the mind in our society, and with the internet, with all the information that goes on, the mind can be a busy place. But finding that place of silence within, finding that place of ease and peace, genuine peace, these days is more and more necessary for me anyhow, and I think for our society as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Gus and I have a bench that I've set up in back of my bedroom here, and it has a magnificent view of the mountains. And thank goodness in the spring, summer, and early fall, we can go out there and sit, and we sit together and we pray and we meditate together. And Gus is just so happy to just literally sit beside me, lay beside me, and look out and gaze and take it in. And we're in prayer. I'm in prayer at the time and sending energy out to everyone I love, to the whole world, to the whole planet, to anyone that comes to mind in that moment. And every now and then, I'll just put my hand on Gus and say, Gus, isn't this beautiful that we can share this together? And Gus will just turn his head and look up at me with those beautiful brown eyes, and just like, yeah, it is. It is. And that's holiness. That's quiet. That's stillness. That's love that we're here to extend everywhere as often as we can.
Yeah. Yeah, Charles. Thank you for your vulnerability and your beauty. I've known a lot of elders in my life, and some better, some not so great, that didn't know they were supposed to be elders. We've all had them. But I just so appreciate you and your wisdom and your true elderhood, and that sense of all that you have gone through in your life, and how that has brought the authentic you to the surface. And I'm so grateful to meet you. I'm so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful for us to be able to deepen through this conversation. And I loved your practice before with your talk, because we always do a practice with the talk. It was just simple. It's just sit in silence and just breathe.
Hand on the heart.
Hand on the heart. Oh, I love that. I do that all the time. Listening to the heart and just breathing. The breath has such an impact on our state of being. It's just so profound, really.
It is.
But when we take that time, and I think we allow that steeping over and through time of sitting in that silence, and often the fuzzy ones do come up. The cats and dogs show up. They're like, "Oh, he's meditating. Okay, I'm here. I'm here for that."
It's absolutely true.
But that is the beautiful practice, that we ultimately find that place of healing. We find that guidance. We find that deeper sense of self. We aren't so attached to the wounded child. We're attached to the inner child. We're attached to the light that we truly are. We're attached to the spirit that we truly are, that paradoxically is in, through, and as all of this, the physical, mental, emotional realms as well, which I love about our philosophy. Charles, we could go on and on, I'm sure, and have talk for a long period of time, but I want to honor our time. And I want to just ask this last question. I've been asking this of just about everybody who comes through to this year and is sharing with a podcast of what does divine masculinity look like in the 21st century?
It is a transition to the illumination that is so ready to happen if we are willing to open to it. It is the openness and willingness to let go of all the things that have in any way defined us through the world consciousness as opposed to through our own discovery. It's the willingness for men to allow themselves to feel deeply and profoundly feelings and how genuine they are in the male as well as the female. They're real, they're there, and they're to be felt and known. The 21st divine masculine is a male who, like yourself, that when I first met you, I knew you accepted me right where I was as I am, and that you weren't in hesitation of me and, oh, I should be careful around him. It was a genuine, that there was a love, a respect. And the authentic male has a love and respect for all, without exception. The illumined male has regard for all until you prove otherwise in a manner and way in which, okay, step back from that. But the bottom line is that it is all about illumination, both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And for females to know, hey, it's not a role you play. It's the nurturer, the male, it's the observer, and that the two coming together have such gifts to give to one another.
Wholeness and true power.
And true power.
Which is power with instead of power over.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. That's it. You got it. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Charles, thank you. Anything else you want to say?
I just want to real quick share what I'm doing new.
Oh, absolutely. Great. Tell us a little bit about, let's see here, Deepening Roots. That's your newest project.
Deepening Roots. So, and I'll keep it brief because, golly, first of all, I've honored the depth and might of the conversation that we've had. it really is huge. So thank you. But I decided to create a desert retreat, and out of nowhere, and divine connections came about sequentially within weeks that were astounding. And I incorporated as a sole proprietor, created a retreat that I wanted intimate, not a resort. It was an intimate desert retreat at a place called Spirit in the Desert in Carefree, Arizona. We had about 35 attending. Well, I wasn't attached from this standpoint. I gave my passion to it and drew people that were passionate behind it and let it go. And it was so successful that at the end of the retreat, when I asked if anyone would be interested in coming again, half of them, 18 people, registered for the desert retreat this coming year. And then from that, I decided, you know what? I'm going to create a whole new work. And I'm going to call it came through Deepening Roots. And it will not only be about the desert retreat, but it will be also about an ongoing Zoom programming. I just want to encourage that wherever we are generationally, keep giving, keep serving, keep being. The moment we step back and cease to be involved passionately in life, everything changes. And so
I agree.
I'm creating a whole new view of whoever this guy is.
Beautiful, Charles. I just so honor you in this time of life to be able to put this newness out, to be able to reinvent yourself, to be able to step forward with this new teaching. I love it. I love it. So you can find Deepening Roots Inc.org is the address for more information. And Charles, I just so honor you, so appreciate you as a beautiful elder of this New Thought community. So grateful for your wisdom, for your beauty, and your presence.
God
you
bless
are
you.
a blessing.
Yeah, I treasure you and your light and might, and keep on keeping on what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
So thanks everybody for being here for this podcast. This is a wonderful.
Yeah, Asa, God bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, Asa, our tech man. So thank you for joining us, everyone. There's more to come, so stay tuned in.
All right. Take care.